Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And with this one, I'm going to be covering the composition that got me to Gladiator. This is a composition that I don't see really anybody else running, but it is an absolute blast. You will completely vaporize your opponents and get very satisfying one-shot kills with this composition. It is the Balanced Druid, Elemental Shaman, Holy Paladin, specifically the Vesper Totem Elemental, and I have decided to go back to Kyrian for the time being on my Balanced Druid, although I do still have a lot of fun with Necro Lord, playing with dot classes like Affliction Warlock, and playing Convoke from time to time, but when I really wanted to kind of get down to crunch time, Kyrian just felt like the better choice. It's going to line up on that 1 minute cooldown of the Vesper Totem excellently, so you can synergize your burst together with your Elemental Shaman. The main goal of this composition is to assist your shaman in landing the Vesper Totem. So this totem is going to be placed on the ground and needs to be protected. You're going to protect it by using things like Typhoon, Cyclone, Entangling Roots. You're going to hold the targets that are trying to get on top of it and finish the totem and CC them, so the shaman can set up the totem and move it to the target, and you can completely vaporize that target as soon as it's reached it. As the Balanced Druid in this composition, your goal is more or less to try and maximize your damage at all times. You're kind of fishing and baiting for cooldowns so that when the Elemental Shaman sends their Vesper Totem, there's going to be less defense standing in their way. Here we're fighting Destruction Warlock, Frostmage, Holy Priest. This is one of the most difficult compositions in the game currently to combat, even for our composition. So our main goal is to line of sight cooldowns. The enemy Warlock has activated Dark Soul. We see that with the purple icon next to their bar here as they're moving to the right side of the screen. We're going to line of sight them during that cooldown, blast away the mage, try and keep them at bay. I've used my incarnation here more or less to try and scare them from running away, so that they don't run on top of us with the Dark Soul. But the mage has not yet used Deathborn and not yet used Icy Veins. And these are two very important cooldowns that you need to get control of and you need to get away from, because they will completely obliterate you. Do not think that you can out-trade them by standing still. And right here you can see that Icy Veins, you can see that Deathborn activated, and they last for a substantial amount of time. I still have my Celestial Alignment rolling, trying to max out my damage towards the Warlock. The mage is going to be difficult because they can blink out of stuns, they take reduced damage after they blink, and they're not very stationary. It can be tough. Here we see this purple Infernal called down from the sky. That means the Warlock is going to be doing a truck ton of damage, and the mage has also got Deathborn rolling, so we're going to need to start to reposition. And this is something that can be very difficult on a map like Empyrean Domain because the pillars are so small. I don't recommend staying on the same pillar. What I suggest is getting control of one of the casters with a Cyclone, a Hex, any crowd control, and then moving away to the next pillar and trying to keep them snared with Frost Shock and keeping them at bay, because the Destruction Warlock is not that mobile. So if you can get control, safely cross the map and get away from them, this is going to be a lot better than having them pincer you on the same small pillar, having them free cast on you from each side. It can generally be better to spread out if you can, so we are double ranged, we should be able to. And again, our fail-safe strategy is just by maxing out my damage and trying to run the enemy Holy Priest out of mana, or if an enemy goes into a bad position, we'll try and blast them down. But here I'm still Deathborn is up for some time. There's that purple Infernal coming from the sky. You know you're in trouble during that combo. You're going to get double Chaos Bolted. You can monitor this on the Warlock's stacks here. Whenever you have the Warlock targeted, you'll see a buff that has a number going up. And I think you see it right here on the replay. You'll see it up here in this area when we're targeting the Warlock. You want to be monitoring that. When it's getting close to 10, around 7 to 10, that means you're about to get double Chaos Bolted, and you're going to take a lot of damage, and your healer is likely going to have to trade cooldowns. Here we use the Cyclone on the Mage because they've got Deathborn and Power Infusion. They've been getting really good procs on their Deathborn from their Legendary, which is honestly kind of holding us back at the pillar right now. I'm kind of tanking damage with the Deathborn that I should not be tanking, because tanking the Mage during the PI is not a good move. Here I knock the Warlock back, try and pushing them into, or actually they get gripped away. What we want to be doing is, if the Holy Priest ever gets on top of us, the most likely target to actually die in this composition is actually the Holy Priest. If you're running a spell cleave, stunning them, solar beaming them, and trying to kill them in that means that they can't activate defense unless they have their trinket to escape the crowd control. So when the enemy Holy Priest starts running on top of us to get CC, that's kind of our cue to start going after them a little bit more. Here I jump towards the Warlock to line of sight Chaos Bolt by running through them. This can be a good tactic whenever a Warlock's casting Chaos Bolt, is just move your character through them and just keep trying to run through them while they're casting to interrupt them from casting. After that, try and look for Cyclones, try and fake interrupts for your team. Here I'm holding my Lunar Eclipse. If I cast one more Solar Wrath, I'm going to go into Lunar Eclipse. I'm holding it until my Astral Power is maxed out here, and then activating it with my Kyrian Covenant ability to blast out a bunch of empowered Star Surges to try and cut through the defense. And you can see why this is so difficult. You got Dark Pact every minute. Probably not going to kill through that. You've got Alter Time from the Mage and Blink Stun. It's really tough to kill that. So going after the DPS probably isn't going to work, but I still want to be maxing out my damage per second as much as I can to hopefully win on mana. But since they've taken our pillar, it's time to cross. We're focusing the Warlock pet as well. And you can see us start to run laps around the map. And I think that this is a better strategy. You're using Earthbind Totem and Frost Shock and getting Cyclones while you're crossing the map. You're going to be more safe than kind of stacking up on the same pillar. This can actually split up the enemies as well, bait the Holy Priest out into the open, bait the Holy Priest into a better position to attack, rather than just kind of bunkering down at one pillar the whole game. Here I use my Solar Beam just to interrupt Frost, rather than using it to get crowd control on the Holy Priest. I think slowing down their damage can sometimes be more valuable, and if they're locked on Frost and you combo a bunch of damage together, they might die without being able to ice block. But here we can see Dark Soul again, active from the Destruction Warlock. We can see that stack here at 9. So this means that they are going to hit very hard in a second. They're going to be summoning in an Infernal and stunning someone on our team. So we're trying to retreat away from the Warlock. We're going to use Stampeding Roar to enhance our mobility. Try and use Decurse on the Curse of Exhaustion when you can if your Paladin doesn't have a freedom. But this is where the double Chaos Bolt's going to come flying in right now, and it's going to chunk my Holy Paladin, and their Priest gets a triple fear on us all at the same time. My Paladin's going to use Gladiator's Aegis to counteract that cooldown, Avenging Wrath, and likely be able to heal and survive. But that is what you want to be monitoring specifically against Destruction Warlock, so you can prepare for it, have something anticipated, because if you're not anticipating that double Chaos Bolt can completely KO you. Here the Mage has popped Icy Veins, again a pretty scary cooldown from the Mage. We're still just blasting Star Surges at them, trying to keep them back, trying to scare them from standing on top of us, which again is really difficult. They see Alter Time, no point attacking into that. It's going to just heal the Mage back, so we'll Cyclone the Mage. Mage actually ends up ice blocking this, which is something that you shouldn't be surprised. During their cooldowns, they're likely to ice block aggressively on your crowd control, which means you may be able to kill them later. And that's why we send the Vesper Totem over at the Mage, but the Mage is then able to just blink away from it and avoid it. So it's really tough here to land the damage. It's really kind of up to just the in-between Vesper Totem goes to max out your damage and run the Priest which we have been doing up to this point, but now the Priest is drinking, so we can try and kill the pet, or we can try and push on the Priest and stop the Priest from drinking, but the Warlock's called in Infernals. They still have Icy Veins. Pushing in right now during their cooldowns is probably not a good idea. I'm going to Bark Skin, pop my Aegis, and kind of tank some damage here off to the left side of the pillar. Surprised to not see their Priest drink in this position when we're kind of cornered and forced to stay back like this, but I can tank these Chaos Bolts. I'm absorbing damage, reducing it with the Bark Skin, waiting for the Icy Veins to run out before starting to get aggressive. Here I'm going to try and go for the Lunar Eclipse, and I try and save it around when my Kyrian Empowerment is going to be coming up here, because you want to be comboing those together, because you proc Fury of Elune with your set bonuses, which gives you more Astral Power to Star Surge. You want all those Star Surges to be empowered. That's where all of your relevant damage is coming from. Here come the double Chaos Bolts with the purple Infernal, but my Paladin's already in a good position to avoid crowd control, able to easily heal it. I'm going to go for a Cyclone onto the Holy Priest, try and get some damage out onto the Mage. And you can see, like, this is kind of a learning process for us against this composition, trying to figure out, like, what do you actually attack against this comp? This is one of the most popular comps. And we finally did, I think, get to the position where it was like, all right, well, the Holy Priest is really close to us. Let's go on to the Holy Priest. We'll use Hammer of Justice. I'll use Celestial Alignment, and I'll dump as many Star Surges as I can into the Holy Priest. We'll try and stun lock them, and we actually just almost kill them. So this took about 5 minutes of realizing, you know what, the Warlock and the Mage, probably not good targets if you're running a Spell Cleave into them, because they're so durable. Dark Pact stops a kill every minute. Alter Time stops a kill every minute against our type of damage. So going after the Holy Priest in a stun, there's not much that they can do to survive. Here we're going to use Bear Farm Frenzied Regen, clone the Mage when our Paladin is CC'd. We end up having to Trinket because they're Mage Trinkets as well, but we're still just going to spam Cyclone. If we get kicked, not the end of the world. Our Shaman will be able to cast spells. Our Paladin won't have to deal with it when they come out, so always casting spells is a good idea as a damage dealer, and I don't have Bark Skin anyway, so getting locked on nature is not going to be of too much consequence. And here I'm just trying to keep the Priest rooted for the Vesper Totem, and we end up just erasing the Priest. So the Priest could, if they're Night Fae, which I believe this Priest is, could blink away from a root like that. But trying to use a root, trying to use a Typhoon, trying to use a stun, whatever you need to try and use to hold the target in place with the Vesper Totem is very important. So we were sending those Vesper Totems at the Mage blinks away from it. Sending the Vesper Totems at the Lock fully absorbs it. Send the Vesper Totem at the Priest can blink it, but it's not as reliable with Soul Shape, and they may not expect to die in an entangling root, which they did towards the end of this game. And I've been having a lot of fun trying to like fish in and fiddle around on how I can use my utility to better enable my Shaman to connect those Vesper Totems. It's been a lot of fun because I'm playing my character in a way that I've really never played my character before. Running behind pillars, knocking people out in the open so the totem can get sent into them. It's been quite a unique experience, and I've been having a lot of success with this comp. You will start to struggle with some melee cleaves. Turbo cleaves specifically seem to be really challenging. That might be the most challenging comp at the moment. But if you want to follow live long, twitch.tv/Supatease, you can follow that journey there as well as we figure out things and continue pushing to the highest points of the ladder. But aside from that, I do hope that you enjoyed the video and got something out of this video and this experience in learning and learning Arena and your pursuit of your titles, because that's the main goal of the channel. And if you want to stay up to date with anything World of Warcraft related, so news, patch changes, and stuff like this, so you're ahead of the competition, you don't have to fish through the internet to see that, oh no, my class just got nerfed, or you might not have even known. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, because I bring those updates here on the channel basically as they happen or to the best of my ability. But aside from that, thank you very much for watching the video. I do hope that you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next one.